we are here today asking for nothing more than an American policy on Christians in the Middle East. A strategy consistent with our American values, first and foremost, religious freedom. An approach aligned with core U.S. interests, regional stability, open societies, and policies responsive to us as American citizens, all of us and others who are a part of this movement. Sadly, in place of an actual American policy, our own leaders, successive U.S. administrations, Democrat and Republican, have instead pursued policies that have very often been imposed by foreign interests. U.S. leaders have allowed vetoes exercised by corrupt dictators, even enforced gag rules silencing our moral voice as Americans. The examples that speak to us as Armenian Americans are, of course, U.S. complicity in Turkey's obstruction of justice for the Armenian Genocide, the effective U.S. green light on Turkey's destabilizing offensives into Syria, and even U.S. support for a peace plan that would force the Christians of Nagorno Karabakh under a foreign Azerbaijani dictatorship. These irresponsible policies are all too often enforced by U.S. officials based on narrow, short-sighted political considerations, based on fear, not hope, appeasement, not engagement. Reckless policies based on the false hope that just one more concession to the forces of intolerance will somehow turn the corner, will somehow lead to a better future. It's a lie. It always has been. Let's be very clear. Tossing Christians under the bus is not a strategy. Betraying religious minorities is not an American value. And abandoning an entire region of the world to the forces of intolerance is not a U.S. interest. There is a better way, and it begins with rejecting the false choice between our values and our interests. That is why we are here. That is why we support in defense of Christians. That is why we are so pleased to join with all of our coalition partners in charting a more sound, a more sustainable future for the Christians and all the minorities of the Middle East. We can, of course, be very proud of the great work of IDC. Progress made against influential interests and the institutional inertia of essentially a century of American inaction. We've seen the passage of H-Con-Res 75 and S-Res 340, recognizing the ISIS genocide against Christians and others. Special thanks to Reps. Fortenberry and Eshoo, Senators Cassidy, Kirk, and so many others. We've seen IDC's groundbreaking report written with the assistance of the Knights of Columbus that documented that genocide and led this administration to finally identify it as such. And something that you don't see every day, but something that's taking place every single day, is the sustained effort, the targeted, unprecedented advocacy by IDC, shining the spotlight of public scrutiny on elected officials, on diplomats, on bureaucrats who would betray the rights of Assyrians, Chaldeans, Syriacs, Yezdis, Kurds, Armenians, Copts, and others for short-term political gain, for short-term political expediency. This progress, this very real progress, has been the result of vision, the result of hard work, and a laser-like focus on smart solutions, but also because IDC's mission is fundamentally an American mission. The principles that inform and inspire IDC truly represent our highest aspirations as a nation and our best hope for the future. And so it's in this spirit that Americans of Armenian heritage, joined with all of you, our brothers and sisters in Christ, and all of our friends, we're bound together by a shared history and a common future, and united in supporting the advocacy agenda of ITC. As has been noted, establishing a province for indigenous Christians in Iraq, in the Nineveh Plain region, very important. We put our shoulder to the wheel behind that aim. It's very worthwhile. Generating U.S. support for security and stability in Lebanon and relief for Syrian refugees, including those who have found their way to Armenia and other parts of the world. Encouraging reforms of the legal regulations regarding the rebuilding and construction of churches in Egypt. We stand shoulder to shoulder with our Coptic brothers and sisters. And finally, it means a lot to us as Armenians, as refugees of an earlier age who who found refuge in Muslim homes and were saved in great measure by the charity of the Christian world. We welcome the support of IDC and all of our partners for a truthful and just, for U.S. support for a truthful and just resolution of the Armenian genocide, the genocide committed, the SEFO, the Tsekhaspanatud in Armenian we say, the genocide committed against Assyrians, Armenians, Pontian Greeks, other Greeks, all the Christians of that region. All of these issues, the agenda and the broader set of challenges that face our community, they're all tied closely to one another. Progress on one reinforces progress on all. Justice for one represents a step toward justice for all. Thank you.